alone, regulators have already handed out GDPR fines that add up to billions of euros. And here's the scary part. Most of those fines weren't about data breaches. They were about things every company does every single day, like retention policies, consent, and international transfers. In the next 6 minutes, I'll walk you through the top 5 GDPR fines of 2025, what went wrong, and the exact lessons you can use to make sure your business never ends up on the front page for the wrong reasons. And don't worry, whether you're a compliance officer, a CISO, or just trying to keep your business safe, you'll leave with a simple checklist you can act on today. Let me ask you this. When you hear GDPR fine, what's the first thing you think of? Most people immediately think of a massive data breach, but in reality, some of the biggest fines in 2025 didn't come from hackers at all. They came from everyday compliance failures, the kind that start small, get ignored, and snowball into 7- or 8-figure penalties. That's why this video matters. Because if you understand these 5 fines, you'll understand how regulators think, what they care about, and most importantly, how to stay out of their crosshairs. Earlier this year, a European telecom provider was fined 75 million euros, not because of a breach, not because of AI misuse, but because they held on to customer call records for years longer than necessary. Here's the lesson. Regulators are obsessed with data minimization and retention. If you don't have a clear retention and deletion policy and proof you're following it, you're exposed. Even if you're not a telecom, ask yourself, do we keep HR records longer than legally required? Do we keep customer data in backups forever? If the answer is yes, you've got risk. Case 2. A major retailer was fined 110 million euros for manipulative consent banners. They made it easier for users to accept all than to reject tracking. Regulators called it dark patterns. Here's the takeaway. Consent must be freely given, informed, and just as easy to refuse as to accept. If your website has a reject all button hidden in small text, or worse, doesn't have one at all, you're painting a target on your back. And don't worry if you think, well, everyone else does it. That's exactly why regulators are making examples out of companies, so the rest of us pay attention. Number 3 might hit home for a lot of you. A multinational financial services firm was fined 250 million euros for transferring EU customer data to the US without proper safeguards. They used SCCs, but here's the problem. They never did a transfer impact assessment. This is where most organizations trip up. You can't just drop SCCs into a contract and call it a day. Regulators now expect companies to assess the legal environment of the destination country, put in extra technical and organizational measures like encryption, and document it all. This one surprised a lot of people. A large logistics company was fined 45 million euros for illegally monitoring employees' location and activity. They claimed it was for efficiency and safety, but regulators saw it as excessive surveillance. Here's why this matters. Employee data is personal data, and employees don't really have a choice when it comes to giving consent. They can't just say no to their boss, so the rules are stricter. If you're tracking employees, you need a solid legal basis beyond consent, and the monitoring has to be proportionate. Ask yourself, do we really need this data, or are we just collecting it because technology makes it possible? And finally, fine number 5. A healthcare provider suffered a cyber attack and delayed notifying regulators for almost a month. The result? A 180 million euros fine. Not because of the breach itself, but because of the delay. GDPR requires notification within 72 hours, unless you can prove the breach is unlikely to risk people's rights. The emotional part here? Patients didn't just lose trust in the provider, they felt betrayed. Because in a crisis, silence feels like a cover-up. The lesson? Have a breach response plan, practice it, and never delay notifications because you're still investigating. Regulators expect speed and transparency. All right, let's close the loop. Here's the simple 5-point checklist you can use to avoid these exact mistakes. Retention, set clear timelines, automate deletion, and document it. Consent, make reject all just as easy as accept all. Transfers, do TIAs and layer SCCs with real technical safeguards. Employee data, limit monitoring, use legal bases beyond consent. Breach response, have a 72-hour plan and practice it. Follow this, and you'll already be ahead of most companies fined this year. The truth is, GDPR fines aren't just about money. They're about trust. Every time a company gets fined, what really suffers is confidence from customers, employees, and partners. But when you get privacy right, you build the opposite: trust, credibility, and resilience. And in today's world, that's worth far more than avoiding a penalty. So don't just think of GDPR as a risk. Think of it as an opportunity to prove that your business takes people's data and their trust seriously. If this helped you see GDPR fines in a new light, hit subscribe. Every week, I share simple, practical breakdowns of data privacy and cybersecurity so you can make the right decisions without drowning in legal jargon. And if your business wants to get ahead of GDPR risks before regulators come knocking, check the link in the description. We work with organizations to build privacy systems that protect both compliance and trust.